Hey everybody, welcome back to Sounds Like a Drum and a product feature made possible by our friends at Cardinal Percussion. Today we're going to talk about a set of bass drum heads. Today we're featuring the Orbit2 batter and Reso combination. These are some of the most unusual looking bass drum heads I have ever seen. It's a unique combination of inner and outer plies and a pretty wild looking sort of venting system on the inner ply to do kind of a self-muffling thing where you can get away with some amazing sounds with a wide open drum, and also you can do a pillow or a muffling scenario as well. This, I think, is the first two-ply Reso head, like Reso-specific head, that I've ever played on a bass drum, and will probably be the first for you too if you end up getting these. Generally with bass drums, you're either using a single-ply front head or a single-ply with some kind of muffling ring around the edge. So we're going to dive right in and start with basically what we think of as the lowest possible tuning, which is essentially finger tight on both of the heads. We're going to do wide open today. A lot of us have put a pillow in a drum, so you can sort of imagine, based on the sound of this, like what that will produce. But these tend to shine in terms of how much low end is being produced just with the heads alone. So this is super punchy. There's not a lot of low end tone yet. This is a tuning that tends to go with a pillow where you're trying to get the most amount of attack and not necessarily a lot of sustain or tone or anything like that. And with just a little bit of boosting up the pitch on the batter head, we're going to get a lot more tone out of it. Now we're going to raise the front a slight bit too. So let's hear what that sounds like. Now we're moving the shell, we're getting some tone, we're getting a little bit more sustain. This is still going to fly with the pillow, or if you want to try felt strips with it, you could do that too. This is more where I would probably pitch these because with all that tone, you can always dial it back with some muffling, or if you want to bury the beater, which I'm not doing in most of these examples, you can just put a little bit of something in there to kind of like quell it down. Now, construction-wise, these are two-ply heads, and both of the plies are 10 mil, which at first glance seems like a lot of material, not something you'd normally see. But because of the sort of Swiss cheese aspect of the inner ply, you end up with a lighter feeling head ultimately, but that still has the kind of punch and thickness and kind of girthy sound of a two-ply head. And since the inner one is vented, it's structurally sound, it's super tough, but you have the vents around the edges, so that means that where you're hitting in the center, you're not going to risk interacting with those vents at all. The Reso side has an inner ply of white 10 mil Dynaflex film, and the Reso side has a black version of the same thing. This, I believe, is the only bass drum Reso head on the market also that comes factory direct with a holes port on it, which is a little tougher, a little more protection, and it is also only a 4-inch mic port, which is worth mentioning because they can range from 4 to 6 or larger if you're talking about center ports. Now, with a run-of-the-mill two-ply head or one-ply head on the batter side in particular, in this kind of tuning range without some kind of at least medium to dramatic muffling inside of it, you would have overtones competing with the fundamental, really kind of jumping out, especially in a recording situation. And you're also going to have maybe a problematic amount of sustain with a wide open drum. So this is getting us a really usable sound without anything extra added onto it. And just by maybe like half a turn, it really wasn't a whole lot of change in terms of the tension on the head. Took it into a whole different sort of sound, which is what we look for in a head like this, especially one that has some kind of muffling situation built in. You don't want it to be a one-trick pony kind of situation. Now let's go up a little bit higher. It's not so common to take a 22 like this with a ported front head and really pitch it up, but there are interesting, fun, usable sounds in that range. In my mind, especially when I'm thinking about recreating electronic or modified sounds in a live situation, because a lot of breakbeat samples and things have been sped up or pitch shifted. And pitching up a 22 is going to be different than putting an 18 at the same pitch. So let's see what it does. Kind of maximum tone. This would be usable in bop situations. This would be usable in recording situations for maybe like a special effect kind of situation. The rebound on the pedal is ridiculous, but with all of these, it is extra super worth mentioning that burying the beater and playing off of the head, it feels kind of like there's a pillow in it. I'm not getting any flutter in the beater at any of these tunings, which in terms of pre-muffled heads or kind of like controlled heads, that's super uncommon. And because of this particular setup, if you asked me to tell you if there was a pillow in it or not, I really wouldn't be able to say, to be honest, in terms of the feel of the head, which is great for people that want to break into playing minimally or unmuffled drums who are used to using something that has a lot more stuff inside of it. Let's do a back-to-back comparison of all three of these tensions. In addition to the functionality of this design, it is also eye-catching, and for sure on stage it's going to be a conversation piece too, which is only valid if they also work and sound good, which they super do. So in addition to being the sound that they are, they also contribute a little bit to the appearance of the kit, add a little bit of flair on stage. Something curious about these heads that I noticed going over the course of the different tuning tensions is that the inner ply is a little bit further away from the actual strike ply, the outer batter ply. At the lower tensions, as it gets higher, they get closer together, and at the highest tuning, they're basically kissed up flush. And I couldn't say for sure if that's structurally intentional or not with regards to the tuning range, but I feel like it's actually becoming an effective tool for mitigating overtones as you go higher. You're getting more pressure from that inner ply, which, as you go higher, the overtones are going to start to get crazier and get away from the fundamental and maybe overwhelm it. Whereas at the lower tensions, they kind of work together to make that big kind of like door slamming in a warehouse kind of sound. So sort of to sum up with the sound, these heads really bring great low end out of the drum. They have an incredible mid-range presence, an upper mid-range presence, and attack, which is what this company has always been known for the duration. I mean, it's in the name. And being able to get that in conjunction with like a full frequency range response like this, and not just super sub lows and clicky highs, but actually like a full thing that you can use in a lot of situations, is kind of amazing. All right, thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and hit the notification button so you find out about all our new videos. We are still doing tutorial episodes every Tuesday, 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time. We're also digging deep into the snare spotlights, product features from companies that we're interested in. Thanks so much to Cardinal Percussion for helping us out with all these drum heads. It's been a blast going through them. If you're an Attack person, or if you have any experience with these things, we're super curious to know what you use and what kind of music you use them for. And yeah, we'll see you in the comments.